Wow, this looks like what could be the most shocking, intense, volatile new moon of the year. It's a bit anxious, definitely a lot exciting, so I'd buckle up. If you're excited to dive into what we can dramatically expect from this new moon in Scorpio, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. So firstly, we're going to dive into the overall vibe of this new moon, what the alignments say in and of themselves. Then we're going to look at some charts I have pulled up, like the US, Joe Biden's chart, interestingly, because there's a lot going on in his chart and I would like to look at that, and then some financial market charts, of course. If you have not already seen your November forecast for your rising sign on my channel, do feel free to take a look and see what is coming up for you in your rising sign for this month if you have not already. Before that, a quick mention of Swan Bitcoin, where if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, you can safely and easily set up reoccurring buys. I use Swan, my referral link is down below, feel free to use it, no pressure. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Maren. I am a Western astrologer using the tropical zodiac and whole sign houses within ancient Hellenistic techniques mostly. So the Scorpio new moon is on November 4th, 2021 at 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. And new moons are new beginnings, and what makes this one a Scorpio new moon is the fact that the sun and the moon are in the tropical sign of Scorpio in the sky when they're joining up. Now, Scorpio is a fixed sign. What does that mean? Scorpio season is in the middle of a season. It is redundant, I'm sorry, but fixed signs, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, are respectively the center, heart, and soul of their season for spring, summer, fall, or winter. So Scorpio represents the essence, the dependable characteristics of fall, which are death, decay, darkness, but not to the extent of the cold chillingness of winter, more so a descent quality. And Scorpio is also a water sign, indicative of emotional trends, vulnerability, feeling, intuition, adaptability in an emotional sense. And it is a fixed water sign, so still waters run deep. The intensity of emotion really represents the vigor and the passion of Scorpio, not some wimpy emotional like snowflake mess. It is ruled by the planet Mars, and Mars in a passive or feminine or responsive sense. So the Scorpion does not attack unprovoked. However, it will display emotion and loyalty if need be. It's very much the reservoir that stays very full until it needs to release because it's been threatened or provoked. So feminine Mars is powerful in the way that it withholds until it needs to defend and needs to be strong. This is taking place in the second decan, or the middle third part of Scorpio, associated with the Six of Cups tarot card, known as the Lord of Pleasure, or just pleasure. And it is an honest, uncomplicated, sun-ruled decan. So Scorpio is ruled by Mars, but this little part has a bit of sun rulership in it. And it is not overly intimate or personal, but it is invigorating. It is about pleasure and being unarmored, which is ironic for Scorpio, but it is showing where Scorpio is comfortable to let loose a little bit because it feels protected. It is a natural exchange, a natural show of affection here where we're guarded, we're safe, and we feel safe to start this new beginning with a bit of our guard down. Now, I will say that the inverted representation of this card, or the reversal, shows outright misery and chaos. So depending on what side of the opposition to Uranus we are on in this new moon, it could show either that we're the one letting our guard down and kind of letting ourselves loose, or we're on the receiving end of misery. And I'm thinking of those cartoons where like someone is yelling in your face and it's like literally fire and things coming, you're like, so we could be either one of those people. It is exactly opposite the planet Uranus at 12 degrees of Taurus, which, like, looking at this is like, Jesus fucking Christ, because in opposition to the most dramatic, unrelenting, shocking, volatile planet in the sky, exact by degree for a new moon where the moon is already fallen or uncomfortable in more emotional, moody Scorpio, this is lightning. This is both extremely irrational and extremely inspired. So depending on what house this is showing up for you in your chart, it's like the Scorpio area is going through it because of unexpected wild card obstacles in the Taurus oppositional house. This is also near Mars at 3 degrees, not super close, but it's close enough to be really pinpointed, very calculated action. So it's like we're letting it all hang out, but this is not spontaneous. This is sudden, but it is not spontaneous. The Mars-Saturn square is applying within 4 degrees, which I don't like. I have a Mars-Saturn square myself. It is a very, like, wartime, like, nose to the grindstone. You're either going full force or you are defending, and there's no between kind of aspect. So it reiterates this feeling of either being on the receiving end or you're either on the offense or the defensive. There's little bystander to this dilemma. And Mercury at 28 degrees of Libra will be sextile Venus at 29 degrees of Sagittarius, which I don't usually count sextiles much, but it is nice that Mercury is getting to sextile Venus. There's some reception giving that Mercury is in the sign of Venus and it is sextile Venus. So the ability to have an opportunity to actually have a new kind of relationship as a result of this is showing up, that even though we might be screaming in the face of a close relationship, something new between the two of us comes about as a result. But Mercury is square Pluto, separating within 4 degrees, but that is still kind of manipulative words that I don't really like to see, if I'm completely honest. So with this new beginning being highly charged, highly irrational, but very calculated, and like we are either on the giving or receiving end of a shitstorm, I do think that there's the opportunity to bond through this with that other person. However, also manipulative communication is likely. So if you already know the Scorpio area of life where this could be taking place, because this is in my 11th house of networking that contains my midheaven of career and public image, this is almost exact, like very, very close to it as well in my chart. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is taking place in November that is a sudden 5th house creative obstacle that's like, boom, new career in the whatever. Let me know down below if you have any idea what this is like for you, because this is pretty spectacular. So a tarot card that we have for this new moon to represent it a bit more is the 4 of Wands. This is showing like an initial win that could be a trap. It's like you're celebrating too early. You won the battle, not the war. So it might feel like we're letting it all out, like this feels like a release, but really this release is the first step to a whole entire cycle built on what you just let out into the open. Now, looking at the chart, so we're going to start out with the United States chart. This new moon is trine the U.S.'s sun in Cancer. Nice. It is has Mars trine the US, Venus in Cancer. Exactly, that's nice. There's a close trine to Jupiter and to the Mercury retrograde that the United States has in its natal Cancer 8th house. Besides that, it's not really the most active, so I'm not looking to this specifically for provocative United States events. What I am looking at for this new moon and pretty much both lunations and all of November is Joe Biden's chart, because he has a lot of planets across the Scorpio-Taurus axis of this new moon, and the new moon is exactly conjunct his natal Mars in the 12th house, which is the most challenging planet in his chart, given he has a day chart, even though Mars is in its own sign. So given that this is happening in the 12th house of behind the scenes psychology, I'm already thinking that we might not have all the details and that this could be something private, health related, or that we don't have information on for a few months to years, maybe until the Scorpio full moon in May. But he also has Saturn transiting his 3rd house, exactly opposite his natal Pluto in the 9th. So 3rd, 9th can both be education, travel, or foreign policy. That Saturn in the 3rd is difficult decisions at home. That 9th house Pluto transform the psychological and very demanding relationship with foreign powers. I think that there's decisions being made around this time that definitely are polarizing in terms of foreign policy because of how that reflects at home as well. Neptune is retrograde on his IC, which I've been looking at for a little while, because Neptune on the IC of like the end of the matter could be, I don't want to go there because there's not enough experience on my end to predict death, so I'm not going there for right now with him at all. But Neptune on the IC is a very dreamy foundational transit around home and family that could be a release of things around property. Also, when the 4th house is activated, it can be an ending of a matter. So I'm curious around the end of something around living situation or family. The North Node is exactly on his descendant at this point. So the North Node is increase or volume up. The descendant is partnership or other party. Either there's a lot of action going on between him and his wife right now, a lot of talk, a lot of discourse, a lot of relationship demands, or the 7th house can also be opponents and political opponents. So it's kind of like the other person is getting a ton of back and forth focus right now. I think that this could be a mental health issue behind the scenes. I know it's tiring and kind of cliche at this point to bring up the possibility of dementia or deterioration on him. I do wish him well. I think as a person, I hope he's doing well. However, a 12th house new moon that's this volatile on the malefic in his chart, out of sect, with Neptune on the IC and the North Node on his descendant, begs the question of, is he in a mental position to make the decisions that could be reflecting poorly on U.S. foreign policy? And I know I'm recording this middle of September, right after the Afghanistan shit show, so I'm not claiming to be a foreign policy expert or for or against him in any way. Pretty neutral out of here. I don't have expertise. It does beg the question, though, is something else coming up foreign policy related, could be non-Middle Eastern, that does reflect poorly and angers the other party and makes other people look good. That's kind of how I'd summarize this. In the S&P 500's chart, Mars conjunct the natal Neptune here is lack of clarity, lack of direction in the economy. Venus in Sagittarius is trine the S&P natal Pluto in Leo. That's nice. Jupiter in Aquarius is square the S&P's Mars in Taurus, which is helpful. There's a lack of clarity, mixed indications. The new moon opposite Uranus does demonstrate volatility in the world, so the market could reflect that. But as I've described in other videos, S&P 500 is not the most astrological related chart, given that it doesn't represent much of anything besides manipulation. But for Bitcoin, new moons are usually local tops. So we run up to the new moon, and then after the new moon, we tend to dump. So Jupiter's still right on Bitcoin's Neptune, which is dreamy, it's euphoric, that's a nice background energy, I like what I see. The new moon is sextile Bitcoin's sun, so there is some nice euphoria leading into it. Mars is sextile Bitcoin's Mars-Pluto in the days surrounding this, which is cute. However, downtrend from here most likely, because the day after, Venus does enter Capricorn, and whenever we have a planetary ingress, we do tend to dump, but it is sextile Bitcoin's Venus and Pisces. So it's not like I see bear market starting from here necessarily, unless my predictions are drastically wrong for October. And we do have a bear market coming up, which I don't see as I'm filming this in the middle of September before I head to Dubai. For Ethereum, local top is also likely, given that ETH tends to follow the moon phases. There's a square to Ethereum's Mercury in Leo within 2 degrees, which is not the cutest. I don't think it's really going to play that big of a role. But Mars approaching a square to Ethereum's sun in the days following is expected downtrend and expected to hit on Ethereum. Mercury sextile ETH Jupiter is nice on the day before. Mars sextile ETH Venus a few days prior is also nice, so it kind of confirms the uptrend, along with Venus trining Ethereum's Jupiter a few days earlier, which is bullish early on in the month, but I would watch for a correction right after, as is typical with this aspect in the lunar cycle. So if you did like this, feel free to check out other videos I have down below. Feel free to leave your comments, your thoughts, anything you have to share. Would love to hear it. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. So take care and sending all the love.